everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Smashing Skull Sessions, which is now proudly sponsored by Rising Suns Brewery, which is based here in Cork. Great to have them on board. This week, guys, I've got another treat for you. Post-rock again, same as 2 weeks ago. I'm delighted to welcome Jakob Hemström from OH HIROSHIMA. Jakob, thanks so much for coming on the show, man.
Thanks for bringing me in, Pat.
More than welcome. You're more than welcome. Again, I sort of tend to bring on bands that I like myself. It's a very personal thing for me at the moment. I'm enjoying it. You know, I like bringing on bands who've influenced me and who have shaped my taste in music over the last 5 and 10 years. And OH HIROSHIMA is definitely up there with those bands, you know. I suppose just to tell people how I came across you, I was just scrolling through Bandcamp one time and I came across In Silence We Yearn, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I had just had it playing in the background, and towards the end of the album, I drifted off and woke up during Drones, which is the closing track in the album, and fuck it, it just blew me away, you know. And from then on, I was a fan. So that album, In Silence We Yearn, I'll probably get to it after, but is it a big part of OH HIROSHIMA's journey, we'll say?
Yes, definitely. I mean, It was the album that kind of brought us out from nowhere to, I mean, being a band that people actually listen to. So, I mean, it's our second album, but I mean, the first album, it was really, we recorded it ourselves in a small radio studio and just, you know, put it out online, you know, just for fun, just friends, you know, doing it for fun. And we hadn't any listeners at all, almost. And it was first when we released In Silence We Yearn that things started to happen, but not right away. I mean,
it was
when we released the album, that there was like no attention to it at all. But then it started to slowly grow, and it was mostly because you know where Post Rock dwells, the YouTube channel.
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
They're,
a big shout out to Ronnie.
Supplying a lot of great post rock, and they put the album up, and it started to get hits, and I mean that helped us a lot to.
It's amazing, isn't it? Where post rock dwells, what that has done for bands.
Yes, I mean I'm so grateful to Ronnie and the guys.
Ronnie, his listenership is just colossal, like, you know.
Yeah.
I can. Have you ever checked how many views you have of even that album? It must be up.
Yeah, I think it's like numbers, over 4 million right now.
That's fucking incredible stuff.
And you know, when it started to no problem. When it started to get hits, I mean, it moved very, very quickly. And that, you know, helped us. I mean, to land the record deal and everything. So
exactly. I mean, Napalm Records. I mean, you went straight to Napalm.
We did release it. No, we first released it digitally in 2015, and then I think it was, I don't know if it was like spring 2016 or something. We released it on CD through Flattery Records. It's a small like post rock record in the US.
Another great label,
and I think it was, I mean, maybe later that year that Napalm got in touch with us. Oh, I'm getting confused with the years here, but something like that, and wanted to release it on vinyl, and that the copies that they printed, they sold out pretty quickly. So then they offered to sign us after that. And
I have to say, I am actually a proud owner of one of those, Jakob.
I mean, there's like Is it the first pressing also?
It is the first pressing and signed and all, huh?
Oh, cool.
There you go. It's a bit of showing off there on my behalf.
No problem.
But tell me, just going back, if we go back to the beginning, how did you originate? How did you get together? Because it was 4 of you to begin with, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually, it started as a solo project of our former guitarist Leif when he was in secondary high school, you would call it, you know, when you were 18, 19. And we became friends. We went to school together and shared a similar music taste. So he invited me to his solo project that has just started up. That was, you know, he had just discovered Explosions in the Sky and Sigur Rós and Mogwai and those kind of bands, and he wanted to do something similar, and showed me those bands, and they invited me to do something as like a duo. And at first, I mean, for years and years, it was like a fun project, you know, to just experiment with this kind of music because we loved it so much. And when we first discovered it, was like the only thing we listened to for, at least for me, for a long time, you know, and you start to get really frustrated and bored with all conventional music, you know. And
yeah, I've been there. I've experienced it.
Yeah, and a lot of people seem to have made that journey too. And so it just opened up a world, and we started to listen to, I mean, all these demos and small bands.
So even before you got together, were you listening to post rock even back then, or what was your musical taste or influences even before?
I mean, before post rock. I mean, Leif listened to a lot of hardcore music, like metalcore and stuff like that. And I was into some of those bands as well. And really liked like the ones that had a melodic element to it. Like Hope's Fall was a huge band for both of us.
Okay.
And especially their album, The Satellite Years, that had, I mean, kind of these post-rocky moments in it. And so when we discovered Explosions in the Sky, or he showed it to me, I was hooked right away. It was like, oh, it's, I mean, just the good, really good parts, you know.
It has that impact, doesn't it, post-rock, for people to get into it. I suppose not everybody would be into it until you hear it, if that makes sense, because it's one of those experiences you just need to give it time, and Christ, once you're in, you're hooked, like, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. And it's also very annoying to try to explain it, you know.
Yeah.
People ask, oh, so you're in a band? What kind of music? Like, it's called post-rock, and you have to, you know,
the whole explanation of what post-rock means.
Just go listen, you know.
I try to sort of summarize for people when they ask, well, what is post-rock? But, you know, I just gave up, and I just dropped maybe 3 or 4 bands. And
I think that's the way to do it.
This way. Yeah, exactly. But sorry. So the band name then, did OH HIROSHIMA come at that early stage? The two of you together,
it was the name that Leif gave, like his solo project. So it was already established when I joined.
Yeah.
We're stuck with
that. Were you happy with the name at the time? Did it matter to you?
Yeah, we thought it was cool, you know. I mean, and it kind of gave a hint of what the music sounded like. I mean,
it does,
dramatic and big and emotional, and you know, all these things. So
that's exactly
felt very, very fitting for at the time. Yeah.
So at what stage did you get to Resistance is Futile? So your debut album back in 2011, man.
Yeah.
11 years ago.
Yeah. So we released like a couple of demos before that, and my brother, who is now, it's me and him now that are the remaining members. He's the drummer of the band. He had recorded the demos with us and mixed them, and then you know, we weren't like rehearsing every week or anything like that. We got together from time to time to kind of just try out some new songs. And, But then, you know, we've been doing it for a couple of years, and we felt, I think we can make like an album. And my brother had gotten a bit into recording, you know, the basics, and wanted to do it, you know, record and mix and master. And so we also recruited him as a drummer. He had played bass on the early demos, but had taken up drums. So he was brought on like a full member.
I mean, Oscar, so he played a big part in it. So even back then, didn't he? I suppose, if he was doing recordings
definitely.
And everything else.
Yes.
Even to listen back to that album now, it still sounds very fresh and very relevant, I think, anyway. For a debut album, like he must be very proud of that album, even though, as you said, it didn't blow the fucking world apart when it came out. No. Like, you know, it's very small and very intimate, like, but it is a good album to listen to still. Do you ever go back and listen to
it? Not that much, you know, but it happens, you know. I mean, quality. If you think about the quality, I mean, you can really hear this is the DIY project, and
you can maybe, but still, I just think there's something beautiful in that too, that it's so raw. And
I was just coming to that, and there's something charming with that, you know. And you hear that this is like just I mean, a couple of young guys taking what they have and, you know, making the best thing out of it. And you know, I'm proud that we did that album, and we did it really. I mean, everything by ourselves, and that was. I mean, it was a really fun album to record as well, because we, you know, when you record yourself, you can take all the time you want, and we experimented it a lot and learned a lot, you know, from just making an album. We'd never done that before, so.
And how long did the writing process take then for Resistance is Futile? Did you reuse the demo material? Or
no,
were these
not
new
really.
tracks again? Yeah.
No, it was just all new tracks, and because we were a trio, a lot of things happened. You know, a lot of tracks weren't finished. We hadn't written them. Maybe we just had like the song Catch 22. It's like a piano based. You know, I just had that piano thing, recorded that, and then we added some layers of guitar to that, and so on. And like the second song, Insignificant Numbers, we had like the bass. I was playing the bass, and we had, you know, one guitar and drums, and we just recorded that, and after that we added another guitar and so on. So it just came together piece by piece in different ways.
As you said, it's great to be able to sort of create something like that with no pressure, no time constraints.
No pressure.
Brilliant.
No.
Brilliant.
So that was, I mean, it was really, really fun, you know.
Great stuff. Again, we probably get onto the other albums later on, but I just want to talk about the Swedish post-rock scene. Like Sweden is a big scene for heavy music, for, you know, all styles of metal and rock, really, like, but the post scene there at the moment is thriving from what I can see, for what I'm listening to. You have bands like EF, The Swarm of the Sun, Sagar Som. I won't finish the title because I'll probably get it wrong. There's yourselves, you know.
Sagor som leder mot slutet.
There you go. Thanks for helping me out there, Jakob.
I had to, you know, what's he getting at?
But all these bands, you know, they're releasing music this year anyway, even, you know. Is it that big a scene at the moment in Sweden? Has it always been, or is it still very underground?
It's very underground. I mean, like in Sweden, I mean, these bands, they rarely play in Sweden at all. So, you know, and I think I saw that EF, they have, of course, released an album.
That's right,
like a couple of weeks ago or something. And I saw that they went going on a small tour. I don't even think they're playing in Sweden. And it's a very different kind of culture when it comes to going to shows in Sweden. I mean, people are they're going to like the big bands, and it's not, they don't go to like your local bar or you know, place that has shows and just watch random bands or it's not that kind of culture, you know, like.
It's a pity, like, isn't it? Because
it's really a pity.
There's so many bands there, Jakob. Like, like I only listed 4. There are 5, maybe. Jesus, go on to Google there and Google Swedish post-rock bands. You get a list of 50, like, you know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But you know, a lot of these bands, they've gone on tour in Europe, and I guess some people show up at least. And for us, it took quite a while to get into doing live shows, and we haven't done a lot of them. Actually, but I guess we could have, I mean, done a European tour earlier if we wanted, but it didn't happen for different reasons. But you know, in Sweden, I mean, it's post-rock. I mean, it's a small country, so if you play in this kind of very narrow genre, you know, there's not going to be a lot of people coming to the shows. So, and if you look at our listeners, they come from all over the world, but they're dots here and there.
There's pockets all over the world.
Yeah, sure. And so it's hard to get people together for a live.
Yeah, I mean,
show.
I know how that feels and how it sounds, because Ireland is a small country as well.
Yeah,
and we have one of the biggest post-rock bands in the world, In God As an Astronaut. You know.
Yeah.
And again, they don't play in Ireland. Well, they do play in Ireland. Sorry, they do play in Ireland, but the numbers that you would like to see turn up, and the numbers that they do get, which they do still get a good turnout, but. For the size of them within this genre, you would expect bigger turnouts. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things, isn't it? Post-rock is very niche. Even go back to your first album again. Did you tour that at all? So back in 2011?
No, we didn't. we did like our first live show was before when we were in the writing process of Resistance is Futile. We did one show in Norrköping in Sweden. A friend of ours played the bass, and it wasn't a good show. So I'm glad not a lot of people showed up. It was another like a Swedish post-rock band. But then, I mean, we didn't play live until after we released the album. A friend of mine moved to Örebro, which is the town I live in now. And so we needed a bassist. We wanted to start to play live now that we had like a full album. And so we recruited him to the band. But then, it was still a very slow-paced project, very relaxed. Yeah. So I think he told me once that, and that it took like a year for us before our first rehearsal. It's like, come join the band. Yeah, sure. And it took like a year
before it happened.
Yeah, we had our first rehearsal, and but then during the writing process of In Silence We Yearn, we started to play, some smaller shows around Sweden, small festivals, and just bars and stuff. So
actually, it's interesting you mentioned festivals as well. I mean, is there many festivals that would take on board a post-rock band within Sweden? More,
No, not really. No. I mean, we played like these shows where you basically pay for free and you get, some food or something.
Yeah.
But I know we haven't been invited to.
It's a pity,
yeah.
And
again, kind of
it just reflects the same thing at Ireland. The same. We spoke to Thorsten there from God as an Astronaut again, as I said a few weeks ago, and I asked the same question. You're doing so well with what you're doing, and you can't get onto these festivals. I mean, everyone likes a mix of music at a festival. You don't want to be listening to the same thing over and over for a whole day and a whole weekend. So it'd be nice to mix it up. But they just don't get the call, and it boggles the mind. And again, the same with yourselves. So I don't understand.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, it's music that it's not for everyone, but I think there's a lot of people who would really enjoy it if they got a chance to listen to it and see it. Exactly, and I mean, especially live, it's a very fitting genre to play live. I mean,
it is. It becomes a very intimate experience, doesn't it?
Yes.
Playing post-rock live, I think.
Yeah, and that was like, I remember that we went to watch EF like very early on before their first album playing, and we watched Mono and PG Lost before their first album as well, and it was like first experiences of post-rock, and I remember seeing Mogwai in Stockholm and so on. It was just mind-blowing at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you never heard anything like it, whole room just filling up with, sound, and you're getting totally immersed.
And tears.
Yeah.
Grown men getting emotional.
Yeah, beautiful.
Exactly. I noticed as well, obviously it's all classed as post-rock, but you have an awful lot of vocals by comparison to a lot of other post-rock bands.
Yeah.
Was that something that you ever said to yourselves, we want to do it, or we don't want to do it, we want to cut back, or is it just naturally progressed that way?
I think it was, something that just happened naturally.
Okay.
The first song that we started to write on together, I think we had some kind of vocals somehow, and like bands that we listened to, had vocals occasionally, and so it just felt natural. It was not like something we discussed; it just happened.
Exactly. Just because because it's post-rock, it doesn't have to be instrumental only. That's, I suppose, what I'm sort of getting at. It's nice and it's refreshing to hear vocals from time to time. When you do get immersed in post-rock, it is nice to hear something different and have vocals.
Yeah.
I love the style of vocal that you have. It just reminds me again, like yourselves and EF and even A Swarm of the Sun. It's that sort of watered down, ethereal sort of haunting vocal that you have. It's never out front and center. It's sort of just pulled back a small bit.
Yeah.
Again, all intentional.
Yes, because we, at least in the beginning, and for the first albums, when we put vocals on the tracks, it was always done last.
Okay.
So we wrote a track, and then because I'd been a vocalist and was in the rock bands like around the time as well. and so it just felt natural to try vocals on some parts. Like, oh, maybe we could do a vocal here, and we did that. But we already had the song that could work as an instrumental, so it was just something to add some more layer or depth to the song.
Isn't it another layer to add to it? Really, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the melodies of the vocals are often quite like basic, more like you would play like an, I don't know, a synthesizer or something, a pad. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, it's perfectly. Yeah, that's the perfect example. I mean, your vocal style is like another instrument as opposed to a singer, like, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. I like it. I really do enjoy that sound. Lyrics. Are you the lyric writer? Are you the lyricist?
Yeah, I'm the lyricist. That's right.
And is it a big part for you? Do you take it, I won't say seriously, but does it mean a lot to you to get the words right?
Yes, it does. But it's gotten more and more serious. And I mean, I guess you could say that about the music in general too.
Yeah.
I mean, our latest record, Myriad, I put a lot of time on the lyrics to get it just the way I wanted it, and we also did that with the music and everything. So I guess it has developed, but sure. But when I look back at some lyrics on the early stuff, there's some stuff that I would like to have it changed, but for most part, I'm happy with it, how it turned out. So
exactly. And do you take your time to write lyrics? Is this something you enjoy doing, or is
no, I don't.
You don't enjoy it.
It's a pain.
It's just a struggle. It's just left to you, is it?
Yeah, and I do it. It's like that last thing I do. I always make the melody first, and I just sing nonsense,
Okay, right.
Maybe I should just keep it like that, like Sigur Rós. And then, I have to fit in words into the melodies that I have created, and I don't want to write lyrics on something that we don't record or use. So so I wait until I'm very sure this is something that we're going to use in some way.
And what inspires you, Jakob, which lyrically? I mean, what do you take inspiration from when you need to put something down?
On earlier stuff, I don't think I had any conscious influences. I just wrote stuff, and I guess I picked it up from what I listened to. Other bands and so on. On our two latest albums, I've started to be a little more intentional. I always keep a file in my phone, and I write up words that I like if I hear them. I mean, it can be in a movie or some other lyric or in a book or something, just words that I enjoy, or short sentences and so on. And I taken some inspiration from some poets. I don't know anything about poetry, but there are some Swedish poets that I enjoy reading from time to time, and I take some inspiration from them. And
if the words get you, the words get you, don't they? That's the simple if it just catches you.
Sure.
Just to talk about the band, as you mentioned, I know you started out as a solo project, then you joined, you grew to a 4-piece.
Yeah.
And you're currently back to a duo.
Yes.
Yourself and your brother. Why and how did this all happen? I mean, would you like to have a band of 4 at the moment, or are you happy in the position you're in with just the 2 of you? It's very different, isn't it? 4 and 2.
Yeah, it's very, very different. I really did enjoy the time that we were a 4-piece. It was a great way. I mean, you're a proper band.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were just 3 of us, it was also it felt more like a project.
Okay.
And In Silence We Yearn, that was the first record that we wrote. It's the only record actually that we wrote as a 4-piece, and I think you can hear that when you listen to it as well. I mean, we just got together, the 4 of us, and maybe someone had some idea with something, and we jammed stuff out. And I really, really enjoy that, being 4 people together, just, trying out what it comes to your head, and, trying to lock onto each other and connect in the music.
Yeah.
It's one of the best things in life, actually. But then it was when we were in the talks with Napalm about the deal, and and so on. Leif, he quit the band.
Okay.
For personal reasons. He's been struggling with some stuff, and he didn't feel like he could put in all the energy and the heart that he used to into the band. And we were moving forward with the deal, and wanted to take things even more serious. And so he felt that he couldn't really match that, I think.
Okay, because that was a big step, like, wasn't it, to sign to Napalm?
Yeah, sure.
When you consider where you came from, it's a lot to take in. I'd say it must be.
Yeah, it was, and the three of us, we were really psyched about this, and So unfortunately, he felt that he couldn't, follow us on that journey.
And tell me, how did you go from 3 to 2? Then what was the?
Because we had written some of the songs on Oscillation, our third record. Leif had been with us in writing some of the songs.
Okay.
And then we started to write. We finished that as a 3-piece, and then we started to work on Myriad. And when we were like maybe 1/3 into the writing process, Simon, he just called us up and said he wanted to talk, and a bit out of the blue, actually, at the time, told us that he wanted to quit the band too.
Okay.
Kind of the same reason. I think he hadn't, for the last year and a half, he hadn't felt like really into it anymore.
Okay.
Like the joy that the band had brought him before, doing shows and writing music and so on.
That's interesting.
I was kind of similar in a way. He saw that me and my brother, we were really wanted to take things even further and so on. So that was his decision at the time.
Okay. Now, 2 guys taking stock of everything within a band, it has to be hard work, like, Jakob, is it?
Yeah, it's really hard work. It is, definitely. And I mean, this is done in our spare time entirely, so I mean, it's a lot of work, and I have too small.
Like, this is what people forget, don't they? I mean, this is a part-time project. Like, it's not your life. You can't.
No,
you're not getting the income from this to survive alone.
No. Yeah, definitely. So I mean, but when you get into flow, I mean, then you feel like you feel creative, and you feel that you're kind of you have things inside you that come up through the music that you create.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
That's just it's hard to stop.
Yeah. Well, before we go any further, I'm just going to play a track for everybody else here. I'm going to go back to when you were the 4-piece, when you were the band. So I'm going to go with my favorite album, obviously, In Silence We Yearn, and I won't play Drones. I'm going to play Holding Rivers, because I suppose I could have played any track, really, Jakob, off this album. It wouldn't have mattered a damn. But guys, here's Holding Rivers. Have a listen to this and see what you think. So there you have it, guys. That is Holding Rivers from In Silence We Yearn, and that's the amazing OH HIROSHIMA. And what can I say, Jacob? It's just one of those albums that gets me every time I listen to it and every time I play it. It's an incredible album, though. Like, Jesus, I mean, there's not a weak track on it, Jacob. It's unbelievable.
Oh, thanks. That's so cool that you say that. I mean, it's grown on me too. You know, because when you make an album, as soon as you finish, at least that's the way for me. As soon as you finish it, you want to start working on the next thing, make things even better. You know, and so you kind of, you know, the new stuff that you make, that's the best thing you've done so far. But you know, hearing and seeing that people still listening to this album, I mean, it's still the album that people love the most and listen to the most. You know, it's grown on me too. It's like, yeah, there's something there. You know, I mean, that's kind of cool.
It must be a great feeling to be able to sit back and listen and see this album and go, "Okay, that's us. We did that."
Yeah, and you know,
because it's become almost a bit of a cult album. Like, you know, it's got a huge following. Like,
yeah, I mean, in the for people discovering post rock around that time, it seems to be an important album, and so that's like a gateway drug to a lot of people.
It was actually, for me as well. Actually, you're dead right.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people told us the same story. Like, this was the first post rock album I've heard, and you know, now it's everything I listen to. So
it becomes the soundtrack to so many people's lives. I think it is one of mine anyway.
Yeah, and you know, when people share that kind of stuff, that's so rewarding too. Like, how this album has, you know, helped them through some tough times, or
there you go,
with stuff like that. I mean, that
must feel good to you to hear things.
Yeah.
And I was actually only playing it today. You know, I was listening to it, and I just thought to myself, that track "Holding Rivers" is like the post rock equivalent to Radiohead's "Creep" to the indie scene. I think I love the way the structure of the album, or the sound. Sorry, it's very similar to "Creep." I think the vocals.
I haven't heard that comparison.
It just came to me today. It came to me when I sat down listening to this album. It's that big a track, I think, anyway. So, like I said, anyone else who's out there who hasn't heard this, you know, Jesus, just embrace this album. That's all I can say. The idea for the album, In Silence We Yearn, Jacob.
Yeah.
You know, talking about concepts and talking about what road you take when you come to writing an album. What was the inspiration for this?
It's
or was there one?
It's been a couple of years, so I have to try to like move back in time a bit. But all I can remember is that we were listening to a lot of different kind of music. We were four guys. I mean, but very different musical tastes when it comes to it. We had, of course, things that brought us together, but there were also stuff that, you know, I listened to and the others listened to that we didn't share at all. And you know, for me, and I think you can hear that, I listened to a lot of like indie rock back then, and I listened to like Woven Hand and stuff like that. You can hear that on like Aria, the song. For me, that was very Woven Hand inspired song.
Okay.
And
I suppose there you mentioned the indie inspiration, and I just mentioned Radiohead's "Creep." I suppose that it is in there.
Yeah, I'm a huge Radiohead fan, so I mean, I think you can hear that in bits and pieces here and there.
It does show itself.
Music, and there was also, I mean, Simon, our bass player, he's into heavy music, you know, different kinds of, you know, hardcore, metal and stuff, and
so you all brought
it's all in there.
So exactly.
Yeah, I think so. And like Holding Rivers, like that song, it's very much like an indie rock song. I mean, the beginning part of it, it's like a classic verse for an indie rock song, but with a very post-rock sound and a more post-rock like structure. And I think a lot of the tracks are that way. They're kind of similar to other kind of music, but they're like, we put them in a post-rock box, and this was not something that we did intentionally. It just happens. And
that's interesting, because again, when I'm trying to explain post-rock, as we mentioned earlier, to people, and I do mention this album, and those who listen to it say, post-rock, Jesus, I wouldn't have classed it as post-rock. And you know, it's it's an album that anyone can really get into and appreciate. You know, you don't have to be into post rock to listen to this album and understand it. I mean, it's hugely emotive. Like, it's almost melancholic at times, isn't it? It is a little dark.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Again, one thing that struck me again today when I listened to it, having not listened to it for maybe a year, 6 months, maybe a year, it's quite heavy as well in parts.
Yeah, sure.
You know, it's touching on metal. Like, it is very heavy. The riffs are pretty tight and pretty hard.
Yeah, sure. Like Ruach, that
Ruach,
song.
That's the track I was thinking of straight away. Yeah.
I mean, but the way we play it and the sound, it's like this riff in the first half of Ruach that's like very kind of metal, you know, post metal.
It is, yeah.
But we played it on a like clean guitar with just delay, and it gets another kind of sound and vibe to the whole thing. And I think, like in hindsight, that's, I mean, kind of the reason why it got popular, because people that hadn't heard post rock could recognize other stuff in it. So it wasn't like a shocking new experience.
Yeah, I get you.
And they're very like the songs are very. I mean, they're song-like, if you get what I mean.
They're very anthemic, if that's is that a word, is it? You know, it is like an anthem. Like, they're tracks that you could, again, I'd love to hear it live. I would say it's an experience, these tracks live. But have you played them live?
Yeah, we played them because that was the time when we got our like first real live shows before writing. When we were writing In Silence We Yearn and after, but I mean, it was just a show here and there in Sweden. We did like a show in Norway, and then we were actually supposed to. This was kind of in between In Silence We Yearn and Isolation. We were starting to get some people were starting to contact us from abroad about shows. China and Russia. And we were actually going to play in Russia.
Wow.
We had 2 shows booked there, and they were sold out and everything.
And what year was that, Jacob?
I think 2017 or at the end of 16 or something like that. Right. But then there was some trouble, and we didn't come to Russia, and we kind of took a hiatus. And after that, we decided to, you know, just focus on writing and recording. Yeah. And then it took us until after the release of Oscillation that we thought, let's get back into playing live again. And we talked to a friend of ours and asked if he wanted to play guitar and with us live, and he was all for it. And we had the tour planned for 2020, and you know, Corona struck.
We all know what happened there.
Yeah. And so we had to wait until 2022, you know, earlier this year we went on tour with God Is an Astronaut as support. So that's the first time we played live since 2017 maybe.
Wow. Yeah. That's a long time off the stage, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
You know?
Yeah, it is. So that was, I mean, a great experience for us.
I was just about to ask, it must have been an experience and a half.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, sure. It was like our first proper tour.
Yeah.
Because, we didn't get into the whole, I mean, touring thing when we had the chance for different reasons.
You were touring Oscillation, really. That was the tour for that album, was it? Was that?
Yeah, it was supposed to be that, but then, you know, we wrote Myriad instead of touring. We wrote Myriad, recorded it, and released it, and so I mean, on the set list for the tour with God Is an Astronaut, the majority of the songs were from Myriad. We had songs from all the album, but I think three out of 7 songs or something were from Myriad. So.
Okay, and I before we get to Myriad, just going on to Oscillation, obviously to step on from In Silence We Yearn, there was no doubt a bit of pressure there, like to write something of quality, and it is another fantastic album. I think very different to In Silence We Yearn.
Yeah.
Would I be right in saying it's a heavier album?
Yeah, I think that's, I don't know why, but that album's hard for me to like define, and I have a hard time, you know, expressing what direction that album took and so on. But I mean, it's more dense in a way. It's more, it's like a thicker sound. I mean, In Silence We Yearn, we recorded that. We wanted it to sound like a live band playing it live, and we wanted to be able to play it exactly like we did it in the studio when we played live. And there are very few add-ons on In Silence We Yearn. I mean, there's the cello on a couple of tracks, but other than that, there's like maybe one guitar here and there that just fill out some small parts. But on this album, we were also a three-piece, so we couldn't write like we had before, and we wanted to develop more, with production and so on. So we allowed ourselves to have more instruments on there. There's, I mean, piano and the trumpet on one of the songs, and
I'm delighted to hear that, actually, because I love hearing strings and brass. Within post-rock, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, me too. You've always bringing something new. I mean, there's so much guitar going on. So
exactly. Yeah,
I love that combination.
So Oscillation hit in 2020, as you said, and that's during COVID time. So is when you got together and put Myriad together.
Yeah, that's right. So in summer of 2019, we released Oscillation, and then we started to prepare for the tour. And then it didn't happen, so we decided let's start writing an album instead. And I actually had a lot of songs that I've been working on a lot from home. That was more or less finished when it came to the guitars and some other stuff that I brought to the band, but they didn't like that direction. They weren't into it. It was more experimental. It was like I'm a bit of a step in a new direction. So we, just started over and started writing new songs together. And then, in the middle of that process, Simon decided to quit the band. So some of the songs we had at least gotten together as a trio and, jammed some stuff out. You can try some things out in the rehearsal space. But when you're just two guys, I mean, it's very hard to... I mean, my brother plays the drums and me the guitar. When you're missing all these pieces, it's very hard to tell, are we going in the right direction? Okay, if I add another guitar, how will that, in what way will that affect how the drums play? And so
the whole creativity of it all, I suppose, with two. It's a very different game, isn't it?
Very different. So we had to, to adapt to that and learn to write in a whole new way, which was, I was sitting at home a lot, writing just, after my kids went to sleep. I went to my bedroom and, sat down with my computer and just started to record demos and added the guitars and so on and all the other instruments. And then I sent them to my brother, and he gave me some feedback. And then later on he added drums, and we made this really, because we hadn't, before Oscillation, we also made demos before recording. We hadn't done that within Silence We Yearn. So, but this time we wanted to make, the demos as complete as possible. Also, so that when we entered the studio, we could, record it as fast as possible. Partly because, just to save money, and also to I have limited time to be away from the family and work and so on. So we had to prepare ourselves in any way we could to make it happen fast.
Try and condense it into a certain time period. Was there any pressure from Napalm to get another album out? Were they putting you under any pressure to say, look, we need something off, or we want something from you?
No, nothing at all, actually. No pressure like that.
No issues there.
So it was just us saying, okay, I think we started writing a record, and we're going to try to record it this summer. And we talked about it and discussed the terms.
Something I asked God as an astronaut lads as well was when they joined Napalm, did the fact of that record label have any influence on your sound, do you think, yourselves as in OH HIROSHIMA? Because they have an awful lot of metal bands, a lot of heavy bands.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, did any of that seep through into your own sound just because you were on that label? Did you listen to a lot of their stuff? Was there any influences there?
not directly. I think when I hadn't heard of this record label at all when you know they contacted us, and then I scrolled through the list of bands. I don't know any of these. There was like some bands, Satyricon and some other bands that I recognized, but most I didn't. I never been into that corner of metal.
Were you surprised though to see Napalm come knocking?
Yeah, I was. When we start to scroll through the list of bands, definitely. But they had some like space rock bands, like stoner space rock bands, and also the fact that they had signed God is an Astronaut made us believe that they're trying to branch out into new territory here.
Exactly.
They signing God is an Astronaut made us confident too that we should try this. And I mean it's a really big label when it comes to these genres. So it was a big opportunity for us to get our music to a wider audience.
But no pressure from them really to get something out of you.
No, not really. No,
it's the last thing you want, like, isn't it? You want to release quality all the time. You don't want to be forced into sort of getting something out for the sake of timelines.
Definitely, and when I like to make deadlines for things because then I know I will work to complete it. So I'm always trying to we're doing this thing now, or we're writing these songs now. We should try to finish them by summer or something.
Okay.
Even if that doesn't happen, just to put some pressure on myself.
Pressure on yourself, exactly.
But Napalm, they've been more like, don't rush it. Just
that's good. That's
make
good
a good record. So
that's good.
No pressure at all.
And that album, Myriad, are you happy with everything on that album? There's actually vocals on every track, which is interesting too, isn't there?
Yeah, it is. We're really happy with that album. Really proud of it. We worked a lot on that album compared to the other ones. I rewrote a lot of the songs and in ways that I hadn't before. Really took the time to make them as good versions. As possible.
I think it's another incredible album. I do prefer it to Oscillation. I just think it's more rounded. I don't know how to categorize it or how to summarize it, but it's a fantastic record, really is. As I mentioned earlier, the use of strings and brass and everything else. Do you have a cello in? Is that Oscillation or is it in Myriad? Is it yours? Is it your sister?
No, my wife.
Your wife,
actually.
Your wife.
Yeah. So they're cello on 2 tracks of In Silence, Oscillation, and Myriad. I think.
Okay.
On each of these 3 records, there are 2 tracks with cello. Nice. So she plays it on all of them. So.
Brilliant. Yeah. Again, it's nice to have something different in there, isn't it? Violins, strings, brass, you name it.
Definitely.
So what's the plans now, Jakob? Where are you going? What's the next step for OH HIROSHIMA? Are you touring? Are you still writing music or festivals? Anything coming up that we can talk about?
No shows planned at the moment, but we're more in a writing phase now. We're starting to I actually have a lot of like skeletons of songs ready, and that I kind of entered some kind of new creative era of my life. I feel with Myriad. Just started to put a lot more time in writing at home. I play more guitar than I used to do, and I always record stuff on my phone that I come up with. And so I think at the beginning of this fall I had maybe a full album of like the structure, basic structure for songs, just with one guitar. Now I started to make demos. So the process.
Interesting. So there's new material there somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. So.
And have you as you said, you like to put down timelines and deadlines on yourself. Have you a deadline on a new album? Have you an idea where you want to have one out by?
would be great to to record an album next year. So
oh, good.
I hope that's possible.
That's not, yeah. I mean, 2022 for Myriad. I mean, as in you're talking 2023 for a release.
I guess a late 2023 would be at the earliest, but probably 2024. I'd say.
Okay. Yeah. And what about touring? Have you anything? You've nothing planned as such yet, no?
Nothing planned at the moment, but I mean, and that's another thing. It's kind of hard for both me and some of the other guys in the band to go out touring.
I know. Yeah, life comes first. Like
but I mean, that 2-week tour with Guys National was really great, and made us feel like we want to do this more than we have.
I was willing to give a taste of more. Was it after that?
Yeah. We'll definitely try to get out on the road as soon as we have the opportunity.
And festivals and the likes of Dunkfest, Arctangent, would you be open to playing all of them?
I mean, we're open to everything.
Just in case anybody's watching.
Yeah, sure. Invitation, or and if it's possible for us to do it, yeah.
You'd make the effort for a festival like that if it came your way. You'd have to, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. That would be really cool.
It would be. Were you lined up 3 years ago for Dunk? Would I be right in saying that? Until the
yes, we were.
Hit.
Yeah. We had the tour planned for 2020, and Dunk was part of that. And then, they did like the
online
the version. Was that 2021? The version where the bands were like just recorded, or
that's right. Yeah.
And we were invited to that too. And then we were supposed to. Before we got the invitation from Guys Astronaut, we had actually a plan, a tour planned for ourselves, like in May, with Dunk included and some other festivals as well. But then we got this offer, and of course we had to jump on that.
Of course, you had to. But there's always next year. There's always next year for Dunk.
Yeah. I mean, we have to play Dunk sometime.
You do, yeah.
We're a poster band after all.
Exactly. So, you have to be there. Again, I could probably ask you straight out here now. Have they been in contact? But
no, not for this. Not for this festival.
Not yet. I think it's going to come. I think it has to. I think people want to see. Like, it's as simple as that. People want to see you play live. Okay, I have a few questions there that I threw your way last week, Jakob. Just the 3-session questions I ask everybody. Just a bit of fun, really. But I'm still curious to hear what your answers are. Yeah. For yourself there, so look, if you could do a cover version of any track from any time, would you have something in mind? Your own interpretation of an album or song?
Yeah, like a OH HIROSHIMA interpretation.
Exactly.
I thought it was a hard question to answer, but it should be something that's very different, I think. I mean, the best covers are the ones that make something totally different.
Exactly.
From the original. So
exactly.
I don't know. Make a Bob Dylan song. I don't
know. Is that your answer? Are we going to go with Bob Dylan? So
I'll go with that. The times are changing. I'll go with that one.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, nice track. A good choice of track. A good choice of track.
Sure.
Again, what band from past or present would you love to appear on stage with?
I mean, it would have been so great to have been Pat Smear, in the era of Nirvana, when he was like the second guitarist, and you can, play with all the other guys in Nirvana.
Yeah, it was an amazing time, I suppose, wasn't it? The Nirvana years. Wow, when you think back. Yeah. Did you catch them live at any stage? No.
Oh no. I was. I'm in 94. I was 7 years old, so
I forgot my own age there for a minute. I should have tried to work that one out.
That happens.
And Jakob, tell me, what album did you listen to today? If you did get to listen to an album, what was the last album you heard before you came on to me?
I think it probably was some album by Low. The band Low,
yeah, of course,
because Mimi Parker, the drummer and singer,
which is very sad news,
passed away here, and I mean that's another really big influence on me and on the band. I mean, you can hear it everywhere, I think.
Yeah, it's all over the albums. Yeah, it is. I had to forget my last question. Yeah, shit. I had a question in my head I wanted to ask you personally, but look, my arm. Jakob, what can I say? Thanks so much for taking time out to chat with me.
It's
I
been
appreciate it. I know it's a big deal for people to take time out of their busy schedules between music and work and family and sit with me for an hour. So really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks for having me on.
No bother at all. And look, next year, please God, Dunkfest, new album. It's all good, isn't it?
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope you're not keeping anything back from me there.
No, I'm not actually. I'm not actually.
And let's hope that Dunk are listening in, and the guys might give you a shout.
Sure.
It might be too late for 23, but maybe 24. Who knows?
Yes.
So there you have it, guys. That is Jakob from OH HIROSHIMA. Like I said, they have a back catalogue there. There's 4 albums. We have Resistance is Futile, In Silence We Yearn, Oscillation, and Myriad. All incredible albums. Again, as I said, In Silence We Yearn will be a personal favourite of mine. But look, check them all out. They're all in Bandcamp, I take it, Jakob, yeah? Everything is there?
Yes, everything's there. So
exactly. So get on it, guys. Jakob, thanks again so much for being on the show. Thanks everybody else for listening in, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks' time. Take care.